Hello, everyone. I am Laura Sheehan, and this is an empowering perspective, an inspiring interview to ignite your inner spark. Today, I am thrilled to be joined by Audra Agen, the founder of Women in the Arena, a podcast about women doing extraordinary things in plain sight. Welcome, Audra.
Thank you so much. I am really, really thrilled to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
So happy you could be here today, and I would love it if we could start off by you providing your own introduction to this great audience.
Yes, I would love to. I'm a professional like many of you. I've been in my industry for 25 plus years. I have two grown children that we're trying really hard to launch, really, really hard to launch. I've been married for 25 years, and about 6 months ago, I launched a podcast because I was compelled to change the world. And I felt that the best way I could do that was by using my voice. And that's where Women in the Arena came from.
I remember when we first started talking, you told a great story about a turning point, a moment that really inspired women in the arena. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
I'd be happy to. So, last December, it was December 2019, I had received a wonderful yearly review, as we all get our yearly reviews, and very happy with me. Can't wait to see what great things you do in 2020. 2 weeks later, I was told that my position had been eliminated because they felt I no longer had the skills to do the job. And I went, "What? What, what happened in 2 weeks? Did you all give me a lobotomy and forget to tell me? I I don't know." And it was that moment that I realized why. And it was because they didn't see me. Not only did they not see me, they didn't see me for the value that I brought to the organization, to any of the organization's clients, to my environment. They didn't see me. And then I realized that they didn't see any of my female colleagues around me. And then that thought just sort of expanded. And I went out that day and bought a microphone. I thought, I am going to make sure that women's value is being seen, and I'm going to do it by interviewing them all one at a time.
Wow. I love that day. You're like, nope, this is it. I'm going to buy a microphone. I'm doing this.
Yes,
Why
yes,
not?
I went and bought a microphone.
And who was the first person that you interviewed?
My friend Tina. And because I told my friends, I'm going to do this. And they're like, okay. As you know, they're like, we're going to support you because we love you, but whatever, as friends do, as girlfriends do. And I loved her story. And this is what is amazing about her. She was a professional, like many of us. She married, grandmother of two, also happens to be in her late 50s, and the number one amateur water skier in her age group in the country, and number 5 in the world. And nobody knew that. Nobody knew that. And I kept telling her, I need to tell your story. And she's like, why? I said, because you're amazing and I need to tell it. And that's where it started. And that's what I've done is I've gone from woman to woman and said, I need to tell your story. And each one of them say, why? Why me? And I say to them, because you're remarkable. And they don't see themselves initially as remarkable. But the more I talk to them and the more I pull their story out of them, they start to acknowledge truly how valuable they are. And so they start to see that within themselves. And more importantly, the audience has started to recognize that within themselves too. And that's what I'm trying to get to.
Tell us more about that. What do you mean that the audience has started to recognize that in themselves too?
So I feel that women united can change the world. We can change countries, we can change cultures. But what keeps us separate is our perceived differences, our perceived notions of she has something that I don't, or that, you know, they have better than I do. And that's not real. It's not real. It's either inherited or we did it to ourselves, but those are instruments of separation. I want us to all acknowledge and recognize that we are way more similar than we are different, that we all face the same or relatively the same issues. And because we're women, what is different about it is maybe we approach it differently or we have different resources to solve it. But in general, the issues are relatively the same. And so when you start to see yourself in other women and you start to value them, you start to value yourself a whole lot more too.
So true. That is so true. You're right. As soon as you can
Yeah.
start seeing yourself, that common ground is established that much more quickly.
Yes.
Well, and you launched it in July, you said.
June.
June.
It was June 24th because it was my 49th birthday. And I wanted to see what we could do in a year because I thought, what an amazing 50th birthday present I could give myself. What the heck? What have I got to lose? So yeah, we're 6 months old.
It's incredible. This week I've had several conversations about doing self-evaluations and choosing a date to reflect on the last year and to set goals or to set intentions for the coming year. And a lot of people talk about the new year, of course, being the time to do that. And I challenge people to think about their new year and focusing in on their birthdays as the start of their new year. What happened in their last year that they really liked, that they wanted to hold on to? What do they want to let go of? And what do they want to do before their next birth anniversary, essentially?
Right, right.
What do they want to create? So that's what a wonderful marker that you chose.
It was kind of accidentally on purpose. I don't know how else to describe it because I was compelled to do this and I thought, well, why not start it on my birthday? And yeah, it's a really good it's a really good marker in the sand to start marking what we've done. And so far it's been really exciting.
When I love one of the questions, one of the main questions that you ask your podcast guests or that you get them to start thinking about before the interview. And that question is, if you had the undivided attention of one person and you knew it would change their life, what would you say? I would love to know the background behind that question because when you told me about this question, it took my breath away.
Yeah, so that question came from when I was speaking to possible guests. I kept telling them, I don't want to know about your job. I don't want to know because everybody's got a job and your job is not necessarily going to encourage or empower them to do something. And they said, well, what do I have to say? Who's going to listen to me? And I said, well, pretend you have one person. There's one person in front of you. And that one person is listening intently. Whatever you're going to say is going to shape their perspective, going to shape their focus. What are you going to say to them? That's where that question came from because the guests that I was talking to, they were just like, what? I don't have anything to say. And I said, you have so much to say. And I stepped back and realized that they looked at the audience as too broadly. And I wanted to boil it down to being very intimately. So that's why I gave them the visualization of one person. And that's where it came from.
And what's been the most surprising answer to that question?
Most surprising answer. You know what? They kind of all surprise me
Really?
because yes, because I never know what they're going to say. I never ever anticipate what they're going to respond to that question because I never plant a seed because I really want to know what is that raw emotion that's laying right below the surface because likely it's something that you've been wanting to say maybe your entire adult life and no one has ever given you the platform to say it and I'm insisting on it. So they all surprise me, and they're all amazing. They all take my breath away every single time.
Is there any one particular answer that has had a particular impact on you?
Yeah, yours. Yeah, yours. Because your response was, "I don't want my daughters to ever feel like they have to settle for second chair." And that put me back in my seat because I have a daughter, and I kept thinking, "Do I demonstrate to her? Have I explicitly said to her that you never have to settle for second chair?" And I had to think about it for a second, and I don't think I have. I don't think I have ever given her the direction that you never have to settle for that. And I now am more thoughtful with my words and with my intent. So my daughter knows that she never has to say, if there's only two chairs, I'm going to take the second one, that she can take the first one and she can shape what that first one looks like for her.
That's
So
amazing.
your answer is the one that set me back and made me think. It really made me think.
How has your daughter responded so far?
Um, she thinks it's weird that mom has a podcast. She's 20 and she's just like, Mom, only you would have a podcast. And I was like, you know what? When you're ready, you'll listen to it. And when the time is right, whatever it is you need to hear, you will hear it. Right now, like I said, I'm not cool. I'm definitely not cool because she's 20 and I'm trying to do this podcast and she's like, okay, mom, I support you, but I still think it's weird. But I do think in the back of her head, she thinks my mom's kind of fearless. I do think that.
There is a big fear factor too from going from 0 to 60 and just launching a podcast. That's
Oh,
amazing.
oh yeah. Because I mean, I have to be completely transparent with you. I bought the microphone in December. I didn't launch it until June because during that 6-month period of time, I had all of that self-doubt, self-doubt, that negative self-talk, that all of that. And I finally went, I'm just going to start something. So then in April of last year, I started recording. I thought, okay, this will help. This will help my confidence. I'll just start recording. And I started recording, but I still wasn't launching. I still wasn't doing anything. And it got to the point where I was like, these women, and I'd done several recordings. I probably had 6 done. And I thought, these women are trusting me with their voices. These women are trusting me with their stories. I owe it to them to put it out in the world and let it be heard. So I closed my eyes and hit upload and did it.
Wow.
I was like, here goes nothing.
And so far, you've had amazing response.
Yes, it's been shocking. I thought I would have like 4 people listen to it because, I thought, my friends are going to cheer me on and they're going to support me because they love me and they'll listen to this and they'll go, "Yay, what's next?" But much to my surprise, it was more than 4 people. It was more than my friends. It was friends of my friends. It's been word of mouth. It has traveled around the world. We're in 26 countries. I
Wow.
26 countries. I I've never presented to 26 countries in my professional life, I will tell you that. But I have gotten responses from, like I said, women all over the world. I have had CEOs reach out to me. I've had other public speakers reach out to me and acknowledge the cause and try and support me on the cause because they acknowledge that there's room for this. There's a need for this. And I looked around before I launched my podcast to see if there was anything else out there like this with the intent of what I'm trying to do that is only dedicated to women. And I couldn't find one. So, as far as I can tell, I'm filling a void that desperately needs some content. And I'm hoping that I'm putting meaningful content out there so women can receive knowledge and encouragement and know that there are other women out there just like them, regardless of their education, regardless of their profession, regardless of where they live, that there are women literally all over the world that are experiencing very similar things to those that might live you know, in Oklahoma or Seattle, or Japan. We are all experiencing the same things. Let's just do it collectively.
And what are these CEOs and corporate leaders saying when they're reaching out to you?
Uh, First, they're saying, that's really brave of you to stick yourself out there like that. And I'm like, yep, it sure is. But they also say, you know, how remarkable it is that no one's ever done this before, that no one has pulled back the layers of the professional facade, so to speak, and say, I don't want to talk to you about your job. I don't want to talk to you about your education. I want to talk to you about you. I want to talk to you about the value that you bring to the world. And I want to invite you to do it. I want to give you a platform to do it. So that's the things that they're saying, is that they're saying that there isn't something out there like this to do that. And certainly not a platform that's has the intent of uniting women with this platform.
I love that concept too, because so many, I'd say women especially, that are in positions like mine, where we move around frequently in support of our family, in support of our spouse or partner. And because we don't have a stable job title, we feel as though we've lost our sense of identity, that we don't have a
Oh yeah.
professional identity. But by your saying, I don't care about your job, I don't
Right.
care about what title you have or what education you have, who are you? That is exactly what we are trying to foster in this community, is that it's not about the job title, it's not about the
Right.
salary range, it's about you as an individual and what you can contribute to the world wherever you are.
Yes. That is exactly what we're doing,
Awesome.
because I want I want somebody who needs to hear it to go, "Oh my gosh, that that's me," or "I can do that," or "I didn't know anybody else felt like the same way that I did. Oh my gosh, we're the same." I've actually gotten phone calls from women in tears that said, "I had no idea." And I was like, "Why? Why? Why would you think that there's no idea that someone else would feel this way?" "Oh, because she seems so accomplished, or she's so educated, or she's so this, or she's so that." And my response is always, "So what? She's a woman. So of course she's experiencing very similar things to what you're doing. Of course, because we have this unique experience as women that we all wear multiple hats. I don't care what job you do. I don't care where you live. You are probably multitasking at all times and doing at least 6 different things at the same time. Managing this, making sure that kids get off to school, you're doing your job, you're trying to manage a household, what have you. You have the unique experience that there is some other woman somewhere else in the world that's doing the exact same thing that you're doing at that same time. So we are very, very similar. And look past the differences. Their differences don't matter. That is not what matters. What matters is that we are united in what we see as the same.
And is that, I mean, if you could answer your own great question about having one person standing in front of you.
Wow. You know what? You're the first person to ask me that, believe it or
Really?
not. You were the first person to ask me that. Um, I have a lot to say. I have a lot to say. Obviously, I've went out and bought a microphone. I have lots to say.
Bring it.
Um, but this is what I will say to you. I will say that what happened to me is not the first time that I allowed someone to see me as invaluable. They're not the first person that I allowed to make me feel invalued or unvalued or unimportant. But that person is the last. That's what I would say.
And how have you changed your approach? How have you stopped allowing people?
I tolerate a whole lot less than I used to. Things that I knew were wrong, things that I knew in my soul that I was tolerating because I was just going along to get along, that's just how business is, or that's just how the situation is. No, I am worth more than that. I demand more than that. I deserve respect for just being a decent human being. The least you can do is treat me that way. I won't tolerate anything less than that. And that has changed in every single aspect of my life, my professional life, my personal life. And I've had to make some hard decisions on what I am and am not willing to have in my environment. And they haven't always been popular, but I am so much happier for it. And I feel so strong about the decisions I've made and the walking forward, because I have to be an example to all of these women that I'm talking to, because I'm telling them to do the same thing. And I have to at least walk the talk. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not going to tell you that I do it perfectly, because I don't. I do not. Sometimes I crash and burn big time. But I do have the intention and the thoughtfulness that I set out and say, I'm not going to accept less than what I know I deserve.
I love this transformation from acceptance and allowance, the two words that you're using,
Mhm.
to assertion and
Yes.
standing up for being you.
Yes. Yes. And I'm become quite comfortable in my own skin. And I embrace all parts of it. I embrace the good parts and the bad parts and the quirky parts, because, I am a little quirky, and I think that's kind of charming, but not everybody does. And I'm okay with that. I no longer tone down my personality to make somebody else feel comfortable, because this is me. I was made this way for a reason, and I may not always be everybody's choice or everybody's cup of tea, but I am going to be true to me, because that's what I need to be. That's what every person needs to be, but specifically every woman needs to be. We need to stop toning ourselves down and start roaring out loud, however that looks.
And you mentioned just a minute ago that when you're going through this transformation, that when you switched from acceptance and allowance to assertion, that that there were some bumps along the way with how
Yes.
people were responding to that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Tell us more about that and how you dealt with those bumps in the road.
Well, some of them have been family. Some of them have been close family that treated me in ways that didn't make me feel good about myself, that I was expected to accept certain behaviors because it should be okay. And I made really tough decisions and said, I'm not. I'm no longer going to accept these behaviors or this treatment towards me. If that's not acceptable, then you can't be in my inner circle anymore. As painful as that is, as hard as that is, I know it's the right thing to do. And that was a big, fat, painful bump, um, because I had to make the decision to separate myself from some family. And that's never easy, but I
Mhm.
know I'm healthier for it. I know I'm much healthier for it. So that's one of the bumps. And the other bump is professionally. If I have colleagues that just simply don't know how to behave, I will not work with them anymore. I've done it a really long time for in my career, and it was never pleasant, and I always felt like I hated myself because I was allowing this to happen. And now I won't. I stand up for myself and say that behavior is unacceptable and I won't allow you to treat me that way. And if you can't, then I won't work with you. I raise my voice to leadership that needs to hear that, where before I wouldn't say anything. I would just suck it up and go with it. Well, no, I'm not going to do that now. I will tell leadership, I don't deserve this behavior. I work really hard. And if they can't improve their behavior, I won't work with them. And that has made a big difference. Is it always a popular statement? No. But once again, I feel better for making this decision because I know it's the right thing to do. And I no longer have that gnawing, yucky feeling in my gut that you you shouldn't let them do this to you. That's gone because I'm not letting them do it.
It's incredible. That's hard.
Oh, so hard. So hard. I mean, this didn't happen overnight. I had to gear myself up to a lot of this. And I can tell you that this strength and this confidence has probably started to really show itself and assert itself probably over the last 8 weeks. And it's because of all of these women that have shared their very vulnerable, raw stories with me, and them sharing their stories, their very, very personal stories, and being willing to put them out on air and entrusting me with their words. That has made me feel so much more confident in myself, because if they are brave enough to literally give a piece of themselves to me and are trusting me to publish it, then the least I can do is start to do that for myself. And that's what I've done, is I've trusted in that vulnerability of myself and felt that strength, and I'm putting it out there. And I'm putting it out there in my personal life and my professional life. Because
So
I'm just the ambassador of these women's stories, and they've made me so strong because of their trust in me and to do the right thing by them.
you are the living example then of what you're hoping you will inspire in other people in your audience.
Yes, and that's probably the biggest surprise about this, is that I wanted to change the world. I just didn't know that I was gonna change mine. Isn't that strange? Is that I was like, I set out to change the world and, make it a better place. I just didn't realize that I was gonna change mine first. And it and it's happened over time. But yeah, it these women, this platform has changed my life without me even realizing it. It was definitely not the intent, but that has definitely been one of the results.
I love it. That is what powerful words, what powerful results. And your daughter is seeing this too. And even though she hasn't listened to it yet,
No, she hasn't listened to it yet. She will get there.
they
She
will
will get
come.
there.
It's all in the timing.
Yes, it's all in the timing. When she's ready, she will hear it. Her friends have listened to it, however, and they say, "Your mom." And she's like, "Yeah, I know." But yeah, I believe that me putting this out in the world for her will change things for the better for her. How? I don't know yet. But something will shift for her. Something will change for her, and I'll know that I had a small part in doing that, in helping to change the world for her future. I'm certainly not doing this by myself. I'm just one small piece in this very big puzzle to change our environment.
And it does take a team and it takes collective effort for sure to make any kind of sustainable and significant change. Who is your
Mhm.
team?
So I, it started out with myself and my son. And because when I announced that I was going to have a podcast, I had no idea how to produce one, what I needed. I was like, I know I need a microphone. I knew that.
Got it.
I Yeah, got it. I didn't know what kind of microphone I needed. I didn't know anything. So I announced this. I tell my husband, I tell my kids, and my son says, "I got this, mom. We'll figure this out. We'll figure this out." I'm like, "Okay." So ignorance is bliss sometimes. So if you don't realize how hard something is, that's usually a pretty good thing. 'Cause had I known, I may have chickened out because I had no idea that this was going to be difficult. I thought to myself, how hard could it be? Hmm. So famous
Really?
last words. It's
How
harder. It is harder than you think because there is a process. You record and then you edit because you want it to be good, and then you have to publish, you have to title, and you have to make sure that it publishes correctly. So there's a lot of steps that are involved to do this. So in the beginning, it was just my son and I, and it was my son teaching me how to use the software, and it was a lot of do that again. I didn't see what you just did. So it was a lot of that. So in the beginning, it was just him and I. And as time has moved on, and I realized, huh, there's might be something to this. There's more than two people listening to this. I think I need some help. I have brought on three of my closest friends that have each one of them have very unique talents. And I'm leveraging their talents to help me grow this audience. I also have a young 20-something-year-old helping with social media because that's weird. Social media is weird.
agreed.
The Yeah, it is weird. I was, I'm over 30, so I think social media is really weird. Um, but yes, so I have help. I also have another friend of mine who is an incredible artist, and he helped create the new logo. And I would never been able to do this on my own because I would have probably drawn stick figures and went, "That's good." But he came in, and I just communicated to him what I wanted the logo to feel like, and then he took my feelings and put it into images. So yeah, this is definitely not something that's done on my own because changing the world is hard work. You need a couple of people to help you out.
Well, in 6 months, 26 countries, a team now of what, almost what, 5 or 6 people. That's
Mhm.
amazing.
It is. I say every time we have a team meeting, we try to meet once a week because we all have day jobs. We still all have day jobs, and we still all have families and obligations that we have to maintain. And so we try to meet once a week. And I tell them what has transpired over the week and what's coming and what our plans are. And they look at me, I'm like, guys, I don't know how this is happening. It just is. It's just, it's has a momentum and we need to follow it because there's clearly something we're supposed to be doing here because the path is being open for us and we just got to follow it. We just got to trust the process and follow it. So yeah, it surprises me every single time.
That's so fun. The surprise and the adventure element of starting something new is just so great.
Yes. Yes. Like I said, ignorance is bliss. So we don't know what we don't know. So we're just like, let's just keep trucking on. We'll just keep going. And we sometimes stumble and go, oh, well, that hurt. Let's fix that. And then sometimes it's a victory and we're like, yay, we figured out how to do that because, sending out emails that look like professional emails is is a task. And, that was something hard that we needed to figure out. And we spent hours and hours and days trying to figure this out. Whereas if we had a marketing major that probably could do it in 3 clicks and move on, but none of us are marketing majors. So we figured it out. And sometimes it's pretty and sometimes it's not. And we just try again. That's kind of our theme is that didn't work. Okay, we'll try again.
Well, the bottom line is that you're getting great content out there and that it's getting a response. And more than something looking pretty, the substance is there and it's amazing.
Yes. Yes. The substance is very important to me. I want to make sure that when we're asking people their time, asking of them their time, that they're using it wisely because time is the only resource that we can't make more of. And if I'm asking them to give us their time, I want to make sure it's worth it. So I'm very, very careful on the content to make sure that it's good and that somebody somewhere is going to learn from it and maybe get encouragement, maybe be inspired, but those elements need to be there. They need to be there in the content or else it's not being true to the vision.
And you have a big vision for this coming year.
I
Actually, the coming
do.
2 years.
Yeah, I
What,
do.
what's happening next?
Well, what I'd like to do once we're out of this pandemic, I would really love to have a live event with keynote speakers and breakout sessions because I think that community is important. And we've been separated for a really long time. And I think that we're going to be separated for just a little bit longer. That being together in person, in proximity, is powerful. And so that's what I aspire to do between then and now, where we have still are living in this weird, suspense of reality. I'm trying to figure out how we put together a virtual event that is still
Mm.
meaningful, and using your time wisely, and people are still getting things out of it. But no one's going to sit in front of their computer for 8 hours. We got to figure out how to condense value in short amount of time that people are going to get something from that. And we're figuring it out. It's me and my bright ideas. And, I say these crazy ideas all the time and they're like, how we're gonna do that. And I'm like, I don't know. We'll Google it. We'll figure it out. I mean, we're smart people. We have, 6 degrees between all of us. Certainly we can figure this out. And they all look at me and roll their eyes and are like, oh, okay, we're gonna Google it. And so that's how we solve pretty much everything. We'll Google it and we'll YouTube it. And so that's what we do. We Google it and we YouTube it. So those are my aspirations. And there's a special element that I want to bring to the live event. And some people think I'm nuts, and some people think I'm a genius. Um, I want to have an event an activity where you get to smash cups or plates and you just get to get your aggressions out or put whatever it is that you want to get rid of on this plate or this cup and you smash it to pieces. And then there's an artist there that picks up the pieces and puts it together into something beautiful and hands it back to the individual who has created this, because there is an art out there, and I can't remember the name of it. I believe it's Japanese pottery.
It is kintsugi.
Kintsugi, yes, that they take these broken pieces and they fill it with gold and precious metals, and they put it back together. So then what was once viewed as broken is now even more beautiful with its imperfections
And more
and
valuable. Yeah.
and more valuable. And that's what I want to do. I want for women and men, if they choose to go, to take their broken pieces and visually put them back together in a beautiful way.
Sign me up. I want to I want to be a part of all this. It sounds magical and like exactly what the world needs right now, especially women,
Yeah.
to let
Yeah.
go of the things that have been holding us back, but to recognize that those things have brought us to where we are now and that they've made us
Yeah.
stronger and more beautiful for having gotten through them.
Absolutely. And I can see the event in my head, and we will end every event with a dance party, because there's nothing better to express your joy than dancing. And even if you don't know how to dance, you certainly know how to move. And moving, even if you're just tapping your toes, is a wonderful expression of joy. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what I want to accomplish. If nothing else accomplishes, I want an opportunity for us all to collectively express joy, because we certainly don't have enough opportunity for it. And I want to make it a purposeful event that we, if anything else happens, we're going to express joy collectively.
And that will inevitably lift everyone up. It sounds
Yes. Yes.
what a great vision. What a great vision.
Yes. I can see it. Like I said, I can see it. I can see what the room looks like. I even know which speakers I want. We just got to get there. We just got to get there. It's just time and motion and activity that's going to get us from here to there.
One step at a
So
time. Yeah.
one step at a time. So hopefully soon. You never know.
Well, how can people be in touch with you, follow your great progress, get updates on this incredible future event?
So the first thing you can do is you can email me, and you can email me at Audra, which is Audra at womeninthearena.net. And I encourage you to email me with questions, with even women that you think I should interview, and feedback. I want to hear what you all think. I want to hear what you'd like to hear more of. So you can get in touch with me by that, and it's me answering the email for sure. It's definitely me. You can also follow us on our social pages. We have an Instagram, and it's arena_women. You can also reach us on our Facebook page, which is just Women in the Arena. We also have a LinkedIn page, which is also Women in the Arena. And you also can connect with me on LinkedIn if you'd like as well. I also will put out there that as you listen to the podcast, uh, the guests that have been on my show, they all invite you to reach out to them through LinkedIn, and many of them have. And they have created relationships and have really strengthened this community that we're building.
Thank you so, so much for sharing this beautiful idea, some of the stories that you've already heard, some of the great strength that you have gained, the new courage that you have fostered from taking on this adventurous new endeavor. And I can't wait to see how this continues to grow and to see what's going to happen next.
I'm looking forward to it as well. I don't know what's going to happen, but that's the fun part is that I don't know what's going to happen next. But whatever it is, it'll be exciting. That I know for sure.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Audra. Thank you for joining me here. Thank you
Mhm.
for your voice, your inspiration, and for your empowering perspective. I really appreciate your time.
Well, I appreciate you inviting me here and inviting me into everyone's presence. I truly appreciate it, and I'm honored that you asked.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and everyone, have a great day.